You can never get enough of historical drama series. They have a unique way of showing our past and breathing new life into historical figures. Vikings and The Last Kingdom are two of the most famous shows about Nordic history. Both of them are blockbusters in their own right, but out of these two, which show should you watch? In this video, we're going to help you figure that out. First up, which one is more historically accurate? Now, if you're a history buff like us, period dramas tend to be a hit or a miss. Directors often focus too much on the action scenes and just brush over actual historical facts. Critics often say that The Last Kingdom is historically more accurate than Vikings. The events of Vikings take place in the late 8th and early 9th centuries, just before the arrival of Nordic troops in England. The show depicts an early Viking culture that is in transition after being impacted by the Saxons and Christianity. It explores how religion had a big influence on the region and how different the two societies were from one another. The Vikings is able to get certain things right though. For instance, Viking women enjoyed much more privileges and lived in a more democratic environment than their English counterparts. But the show is still pretty embellished. It seems kind of ironic that The Last King is more historically accurate given that the original Vikings series was broadcasted on the History Channel. The Last Kingdom tells a story about identity conflicts, relationships, and the history of the Saxons and Vikings rather than just focusing on blowing your mind with stunning war sequences. The Last Kingdom also has an advantage over the Vikings in terms of historical accuracy because of its clothes. Even though it's not a documentary, the outfits are amazingly accurate to the craftsmanship of the era. Moving on, who has the best action scenes? While the Vikings have intricate and gory action scenes, we actually prefer TLK. The Last Kingdom's fighting scenes are one of its best features because of how complex they are. The books by author Bernard Cornwell gave a thorough explanation of how these wars transpired. Not only are the battles amazing, but the villains also leave you awestruck. That's one area where it fully dominates the other show. The heroes always look fantastic because of their heels after all. The interaction between Uhtred, played by Alexander Draymond, the show's main character, and King Alfred is another element that makes TLK superior. Their amazing relationship trumps all others and is one of the most intriguing aspects of the series. Up next, who has the better storyline? Although The Last Kingdom and Vikings have many characteristics, their approaches to storytelling, interpersonal relationships, and historical authenticity distinguish them from one another. The Saxon Stories series of novels by Bernard Cornwell was the main inspiration for The Last Kingdom. The books allowed the show to have a more focused plot with clearer storylines, but it also moves fast and develops its characters very quickly. Just season 1 of The Last Kingdom covers 2 volumes. TLK fails to show us the character development of the important characters. The Vikings television series, on the other hand, is full of action, discovery, conflict, battle, and bloodshed. But at the center of it all, the story is still about family. It shows us the exploits of the historical figure Ragnar Lothbrok, who is the greatest hero of his era. Vikings also includes the compelling sagas of Ragnar's band of Viking brothers and his family as he ascends to the position of king of the Viking tribes. Character development is an area in which the Vikings' show producer takes great pride. When the series first debuted, captivating characters like Floki, played by Gustav Skarsgård, and Ragnar Lothbrok, played by Travis Fimmel, were what the audience connected with. Now, we can't say the same for the seasons that followed the first 2, but the early seasons of Vikings had amazing narratives that gave us an insight into the characters' growth, not to mention the outstanding casting of TLK. When TLK first came out, it didn't have big names on its cast. Their small budget did not allow them to go for big industry names, but they were able to make this work in their favor. Due to financial limitations, it launched the careers of the series' lead characters and showcased Alexander Draymond's talent as an actor. The acting in The Last Kingdom deserves praise as well, since you can tell that the actors went above and beyond to execute each scene in a way that was fascinating and genuinely inspiring. It makes sense that each of The Last Kingdom's actors has earned their fair share of awards. Finally, which one should you watch? The Vikings television series is the one to watch if you're looking for a show that accurately portrays the Norsemen's spirit of exploration. It never fails to impress us with its action-packed plot. Vikings has successfully added a philosophical and mystical flair to its plot. If you aren't someone who prefers slow burns and want the show to get to the point quickly, then The Last Kingdom is perfect for you. It has a fast pace, a lot more likable characters than Vikings, and gives you an opportunity to actually appreciate the characters. In either case, both are excellent shows with very few advantages over each other. In the end, it all depends on how quickly you want your historical dramas to progress. Next, in other news, Netflix's 7 Kings Must Die has a lot to cover. We were left heartbroken when news broke out that The Last Kingdom would not renew for the 6th season. There were still a lot of have questions left unanswered. Thankfully, Netflix came through. They confirmed that they are producing a feature film called Seven Kings Must Die that will officially conclude the saga of Othred of Bebbanburg. The film is rumored to be around 2 hours long and will feature plots from the 3 Bernard Cornwell books, War of the Wolf, Sword of Kings, and Warlord. It's likely that Othred will abandon his former protege in the movie, abandoning his oath to King Alfred to protect his family. If the movie's plot is close to the novel, Othred might be conflicted between Athelstan and Constantine. Filming took place early this year and finished on March 19, 2022. While there isn't an official date yet from Netflix's side, the film will most likely be released in late 2022 or early 2023. Moving on, NYCC gives us our first look at the Walking Dead spin-off. Comic-Con was just held and we got our first look at the Walking Dead spin-off. The series stars Maggie, played by Lauren Cohan, and Negan, played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan. While we didn't learn much more about the New York City set series, the pictures show some tension between Maggie and Negan and some chic pictures of them in the streets. The show was formerly known as The Walking Dead, Isle of the Dead before being changed to The Walking Dead, Dead City. The Big Apple is the main setting of the show and is filled with both the living and the dead. The island has been cut off from the mainland for a while now. Given that the episode of the first season of The Walking Dead will air on November 20, 2022, this event marked the last NYCC panel for that series as well. At that panel, Norman Reedus briefly discussed the planned spin-off starring his character Daryl and Melissa McBride's Carol. He assured fans that everything will work out for the best. Norman confirmed that the scope of the new show is massive. He was able to scout the areas that they are going to be shooting in and said that it's going to be epic. It might even border on being absurd. We also got confirmation that there will be a number of recognizable faces. We still don't have a confirmed release date though. Finally, Shadow and Bone set to return with a second season. On the third day of NYCC 2022, author Leigh Bardugo and the Shadow and Bone cast appeared on the main stage to discuss the Grishaverse. We have been quite eager for the show's return to Netflix for season 2, and the panel did a terrific job of keeping their spoilers to a minimum, which might not be the best situation for us. The fact that everyone will return for potential future seasons is also incredible. The Shadow and Bone panel talked about how the Crows took pieces of their characters and gave them to life in a world that existed before their books. They said that they can't wait for us to watch both the main and supporting stories when season 2 debuts, and even expressed how much the fandom has meant to them. Watching these actors bring life to our favorite Grishaverse characters has been amazing. Siege and Storm, the second book in the Shadow and Bone trilogy, will be the inspiration for the second season. The start of season 2 is anticipated for 2023. That's a wrap for this video. Which show do you think is right for you? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.